शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नमुपशान्तये। दक्षिणामूर्तिसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुर्साक्षात् परब्रह्मा तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। अखण्डमण्डलाकारं व्याप्तं येन चराचरं तत्पदं दर्शितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गणपति बप्पा जय श्री राम। So couple of times we didn't have much of an side topic that we discussed. I thought I'll just quickly cover a small portion of food this time. We've already covered some portion of it while the Naivedya, how a food is to be offered to God, who are the people who are supposed to be offered before we consume it and the order thereof. So we had covered all of that. So we had covered rules of having food. I had not covered rules of preparing food. So I thought I'll quickly cover a few points on how to prepare food. So in our culture, Sanatan Dharma, we have rules for everything. Preparation of food, of course, is not something that is bereft of it. So there are rules there also. Primarily, there are certain dosha. Dosha means quality which affects our health. Okay. So there are certain doshas which are attached to food and food process of food preparation. So basically there are three doshas that are attached. First is called as jati dosha. Now jati dosha is basically a quality of food which is inherent to it. So every food has its own quality and that is inherent to the way the food is created by nature. And that in itself has an impact on our body, hence is called as jati dosha. So the sub-classification in jati dosha is rajas, sattvic and tamas. So every food can be classified into sattvic, rajas and tamas depending on the type of food and its effect on us after we consume it. So a sattvic food will have that which creates a sense of calmness, a sense of maturity, a sense of righteousness in us. Those foods are called as sattvic food. Rajas are generally food which gives in a lot of energy, that gives in a lot of energy to take action, do action, right? Which gives us or motivates us to remain active during the day. And there are some food which makes us lazy, tamas. And there is no good and bad about it. Tamas is also equally required. Why it is equally required? So 1/3 of the day we are actually sleeping, right? 8 hours and 24 hours we are actually sleeping. So tamasic food ensures that we have peaceful night sleep and undisturbed sleep. In today's health conscious world, people say that 8 hours of sleep is very important and without disturbance 8 hours of sleep is very important because that is the time when body is repairing itself. With all the abuses that we would have done in the balance 16 hours, the body is repairing itself so that it prepares ourselves to the next day. So in computer parlance, it's like a night out activity. And when everybody goes, you have servers which start taking backups, right? So it is like that. Our body starts working on overdrive to ensure that all problems get resolved. Now this is also equally important. So it's the balance between sattvic, rajas and tamas which is critical. Not a single quality going up or another going down. So it's not about an imbalance, it's about balance. So our food needs to have enough of each of it so that there is a fulfilled day or a fulfilled life that we lead. This is jati dosha. There is another dosha called an ashreya dosha. Now ashreya dosha is basically the effect that the person who is preparing the food has on the food, and thus that food when we consume, that effect comes to us also. Okay? So it's an indirect effect that comes to us. So ashreya dosha comes from the mental and the physical state of the person who's cooking the food. How healthy that person is. What is the mental health of that person, whether he or she is feeling fresh on that day, whether he or she has fought with his spouse or mother-in-law, whether he or she is in a very bitter mood, whether he or she is going through certain illness like say headache or whatever. So that person will automatically transfer those vibrations to the food and thus the food gets contaminated or purified depending on the kind of mind and physical state of the person, and that when it's consumed by the family members, it will get transferred to them. Okay, so this is ashraya dosha. And the third is nimitta dosha. So nimitta dosha is the impurity or the contamination that comes into the food because of the way we store it. Okay, so when we cook food and we don't cover it, we don't properly cover or keep it in a proper place, then we are not storing it properly. The outside environment has an effect on it. The heat, the cold, the germs, the bacteria, all of that also end up having effect on the food, and hence it gets something called as a nimitta dosha. So if it is contaminated by those pollutants, normally what will happen is when we consume, we also get affected by those pollutants. So that is the reason generally the advice is not to have outside food. Why? Because they don't cover it properly. Why? Because we don't know the person who's cooking it. I don't even know whether that guy has taken his bath, right? We don't know what mind frame that person is cooking that food, right? So generally we should avoid outside food. Why do we say that? And why is it that outside food generally affects our health? Yes, because it is not done properly, and because it is also stored in an improper way, those germs then start affecting us. So it is not just cooking the right food in terms of quality, jati. The right person in the right frame of mind and physical state should cook it, should store it in the right form, should be offered in the right manner to God, and then should be eaten in a right manner, so that that food then becomes medicine for our health, and then we get health, and then we become strong, our immunity grows. Then that is the reason for good well-being. All this process is involved in preparation of food. Now you can just imagine what are the things that we are missing, and then we keep complaining, well, the food ka quality theek nahi hai, and then we keep falling ill. All these things are not being followed in today's world, and hence we end up having not so great health. I remember my grandmother, I always give this example. My grandmother, whenever she used to enter kitchen, nobody else was allowed in the kitchen. Cooking is a godly affair. Nobody else was allowed. She used to cook in partially wet clothes, and constantly shloka or mantra used to be recited as she used to cook. So all of her mantra and shloka and puja used to get done as she used to be cooking. That food then ensured that all the people who ate were all healthy. So my parents, my father's generation, most of them, they continued to have a very nice life. They had hardly any diseases. My father never had diabetes at all. Okay, no sugar problem, nothing. He had no eyesight issue. He could read, he could eat anything, no teeth issues. So all of that is because of the kind of food that his mother served him a good part of his life. Why I wanted to give this as an information is because food happens to be the best medicine for the body. One of my friends who's a health guru, he continues to say that the best pharmacy is right in our house, and that's our kitchen, right? You eat the right type of food, it becomes a great medicine. Then you don't you will ever need a medicine that needs to be brought from the actual pharmacy shop. So that's the reason I thought I'll cover that. Coming to Ramayana, where we left, we had finished Balakanda, we had finished the birth, we had finished the visit with Vishwamitra, we had finished the marriage, and we had finished Parshurama Garvabhanga, that is his humbling Parshurama. So we had finished all of that. Now, the Ayodhya Kanda had already started. So Rama and Sita have lived now for 12 happy years after getting married. Young couple enjoying their lives, princely, so all sukh, chain, sabke saath, they are enjoying their life. Dasharatha is now getting old, so Dasharatha is now keen that Rama takes over the responsibility of the kingdom. So he puts up a question to the Darbar, and all the ministers approve. So we covered that portion also, where each of them were asked to give a reason as to why Rama is the best suited. So everybody says he's somebody who goes by the dharma, he's been brought up by Dasharatha, he's under the tutelage of someone as great as Vasishtha, he's been trained by Vishwamitra in the warfare, right? Somebody also said that he's the most ideal because he's got Sita as his wife. I missed on one point. One of them actually gets up and says, he's Madhura Bhashi. He's not just Madhura Bhashi, he's also Purva Bhashi. Now what is Madhura Bhashi and Purva Bhashi? Rama was known for the way he spoke. Madhura Bhashi means somebody who speaks sweetly, right? In today's world, unfortunately, with modern wisdom that we generally have a sense that those who are straight talkers, we generally say, oh, that guy is a straight talker. He speaks out his mind. He doesn't bother who's in front. He'll speak his mind. He speaks his truth, and we end up appreciating such people when that person is actually hurting the others by speaking the way he's speaking. In our culture, speaking truth is important, but how you speak truth is also important, right? One has to speak truth. Our culture has always said, always speak the truth. Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha na anritam bruyat yesha dharma sanatana. What is sanatan dharma kya hai? That is, in a small summary, Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat. Speak the truth, but speak the truth only if it is sweet and in a manner which is sweetly told. Never ever speak a bitter truth. At the same time, never ever speak a lie only because it is sweet. Right? So it's a conundrum. It's a paradoxical statement, right? Satyam bruyat, priyam bruyat, na bruyat satyam apriyam, priyam cha na nritam bruyat yesha dharma sanatana. So you have to speak the truth, but you have to speak it sweetly. If the truth is bitter, don't tell the truth, it's okay. But only because something is sweet and it is a lie, one should not do that also. Right? So the point over here that I am driving is, it is very important that we speak. When we speak, our tongue should be such that it never ever hurts anybody. Rama lived a life like that. Even to the mother who was going to send him to forest now, he always spoke sweetly. Truth is all that he spoke. But the manner in which he spoke truth was important, right? Never ever speak untruth, but speak in a manner that is sweet, nice. Tell the truth, but in a nice manner so that people don't get hurt. In today's world, we do listen to a lot of people who वो तो मन की बात बोल देता है, वो किसी से नहीं डरता. It is nothing to be so proud about. It is something that the person doesn't even know how to talk, right? It is something that is wrong. Rama doesn't just stop in speaking sweetly. He is also Purvabhashi, which means irrespective of the age, irrespective of the status of the person, irrespective of the gender, irrespective of the caste of the person who is in his presence, he will be the first person to speak. He will break the ice. He will introduce himself. Main Dasharath Nandan Ram. He will welcome the other person. He will offer his seat. Rama was not only Madhurabhashi, he was also Purvabhashi. He was a person who will take the initiative in breaking the ice and beginning a conversation, which is also a very good quality that Rama had. One of the person actually points out that a king needs to be like that, so that people do not get inhibited by somebody's kingdom, so somebody's kingmanship. So we saw all of this, and then they decide that we need to have. So Dasharatha is in a hurry. Why is in a hurry? Because Bharata and Shatrughna have gone to Kekeya Desha, that is Bharata's grandfather's place, maternal grandfather's place, and Dasharatha wants to get done with the Yuvraj coronation as soon as possible, so that he wants to get it done before Bharata comes, because he is of the feeling that Bharata probably might ask for the kingdom. There is a very old tentative promise that Dasharatha had done to Kaikeyi. In a moment of love, he said, if possible, I will make Bharata as the king. Now he didn't want Kaikeyi or Bharata to use that to their advantage, and hence when Bharata was not there, he wanted to finish off Rama's coronation. Now Dasharatha also on the day previous has a dream, and in that dream he feels that he is going to die, okay, and he is going to die very soon. So he comes to Rama and says that we want the coronation to be done ASAP, as soon as possible. And the elders of the family and elders of the kingdom have told that the good muhurta, the good auspicious time, is as soon as tomorrow. So we would want to get it done tomorrow itself. Rama in his natural poise goes, he meets his elders, he does namaskar, goes back to his room. So every Rani has got a room, every Yuvraj has got a room, they are living in a kingdom, right? So he first goes and meets his mother, Kaushalya. He does namaskar and he breaks the news saying that this is what the father has thought of. He's saying that I should become the Yuvraj the very next day. He takes his blessing, her blessings, and Rama and Sita come to their room. Vasishtha meanwhile comes to Rama. He initiates him into the mantras, into the pujas that are going to happen now and also during the day. He explains him the process completely, He also gives enough all the mantras that are supposed to be done on that night before sleeping. So Rama recites all those mantras, and then they are made to sleep on a bed made of darba. Darba is a grass, it's a sacred grass. There is a bed that has been made for them, and then they are asked to sleep on that, and they are asked to retire for the day early because next day is going to be a heavy day. So they ask Rama and Sita to sleep early over there. Rama and Sita retire to the room. Now the next night is a critical night at Ayodhya. Even as Rama and Sita have retired for the room, entire Ayodhya is now, the news is already spread. Okay, the news is spread even faster than Instagram or a WhatsApp viral that we see nowadays. People have already started to know that that Rama and Sita are going to be coronated. Rama is going to get coronated as a Yuvraj. So everybody starts preparing. They all clean up their house. They are drawing rangolis. They are decorating their house with flowers, garlands, bursting crackers. So there is a lot of celebration mode that has come into the entire Ayodhya city. Now Manthara is a servant with Kaikeyi. She watches the entire thing that is happening in the Ayodhya city. So as Rama and Sita are taking rest, which we would give them some time, because we need to understand that this is the last night in the next 14 years that they are going to be sleeping with this comfort. After this night, for the next 14 years, they are going to be out in the forest, so we will not disturb them too much. We'll just take a step back and we will now try and understand who Manthara is and where from Kaikeyi came. Okay. So Kaikeyi comes from a country called Kekeya. Kekeya is a country near Afghanistan. It's in Afghanistan. So there is a king and a queen there. This king had a very special quality. Okay, he was a very good king. He also had a special skill. He knew the language of birds. Okay. Now this is a skill. This was a boon that he had. He can understand the language that the birds used to speak amongst themselves. But there was a curse attached to it. The curse is that if he tells if he sees a couple of birds conversing, if he tells what they are conversing to anybody else, translates it and tells it to anybody else, he will die. Okay? So he can keep that secret only with himself. So whatever the birds are conversing, it is a secret that only he can keep to himself. He cannot divulge it with anybody. The moment he divulges, he will die. Okay? So he's been living like that. He listens to it, he enjoys it, but he doesn't tell it to anybody. And a lot of people know this, that Raja has that skill, including his queen. They have a daughter called Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi, Desh ki beti is Kaikeyi. That is how she got the name Kaikeyi. Now this queen, so one day what happens in the evening is finished off with all office work, darbar sab, everything is done. He comes back to his quarters, he's sitting in the balcony and enjoying the sunset, having a cup of tea or whatever with his wife. There in the distance he finds two Hamsa Pakshi, which is two swans. Okay, both birds are in love with each other and they are having some intimate moments and talking to each other. Now he is enjoying that, and in a split second he laughs because they are conversing something. We don't know what they have conversed. And he suddenly laughs. Now his wife is sitting by the side and she is wondering why he is laughing. So she asks, why are you laughing? So he says, nothing, those birds are conversing something and I found something very sweet and very funny, so I laughed. So she says, no, I want to know what they were speaking. So he said, no, I cannot tell you that. You know why I can't tell you that. So it's okay, so forget it. She insists. He said, no, I want to know it, you please tell me. She said, I cannot tell you, why are you even asking? He said, no, I want to know you. Anyhow, you have to tell me, otherwise I'll become angry. No, the husband says, the moment I tell, I'm going to die. Kaikeyi's mother tells him, I don't mind even if you die, but please tell me. This is what she says. This is the kind of wickedness that lady has. Okay? You need to know why this background is because Kaikeyi is her daughter. So the moment she says this, he realizes that he's married a wicked lady. He banishes her from the house. Okay, and she says, palace, and she says, you go and live in a forest, I don't even want to see your face. You are a person, you are not even bothered whether your husband lives or not, but you want the gossip, and that is what you are interested in. I am not interested in living with you, so he banishes her. Kaikeyi is a small daughter, right? She's a small girl at that point of time. She is then being brought up by a lady called Manthara. So Manthara becomes the daima, the nanny for Kaikeyi, who actually brings her up. Okay? Now, Manthara is a character whose by physically, she has a bent back, okay? So she's basically having loyalty towards Kaikeya Desh. What happens when Kaikeyi gets married? So those days it used to be a tradition. When a girl gets married, people who are well off, people who are well to do, they will generally send some servants from that house to this house, so that the girl in her in-laws place also doesn't have to work, so that she can live as princely as she was living in her home, in her hometown. They used to send servants, or they will send people to serve her and the other families also. This was a part of their culture those days. It actually happens even today. Okay, it's a little different from Dahej. It's more like to ensure that my daughter doesn't have to work. She lives, as princely as she used to live at our house. The problem with these people is that those people have their loyalty attached to that person and not to the place where they are coming. Okay, this is a problem, and this more often than not becomes a real problem. So even in Mahabharata, Shakuni happens to be Gandhari's brother. He comes with Gandhari, okay, to ensure that she lives happily. But he comes here and he spoils the entire plot for Kauravas and Pandavas. Kaikeyi's servant Manthara also does the same thing. So these people who come from the girl's side, they generally, what happens is their loyalty is attached to them, and they do not get they do not even allow the person who's getting married to get adjusted into the new environs. And that's the problem. That's exactly where the problem starts. So this is a wicked lady. Kaikeyi comes from as a mother. Her mother was a very wicked lady. No, Manthara. This Manthara looks at from her balcony that there is a lot of celebrations that are happening, and then she catches hold of a particular servant and she says, "What is happening? Why suddenly there is so much of celebration and so much of happiness that is happening around? What is the reason?" So she says, "Oh, you don't know." She says, "Rama is going to be coronated as a Yuvraj." Manthara suddenly becomes serious. When did this happen? All of a sudden, out of the blue, what is the hurry? She then comes and dashes into Kaikeyi's room. So you have to understand the relationship between Kaikeyi and Manthara. Manthara, although is actually a servant, she's a person who's really brought up Kaikeyi. So she used to take a lot of freedom with Kaikeyi. She comes and talks to Kaikeyi. She says, "Do you know what has happened?" So Kaikeyi is saying, "No, I don't know what has happened. Tell me what has happened." Whether Rama is going to get coronated as a Yuvraj, and it's going to happen as soon as tomorrow morning. Do you know that? Kaikeyi is extremely ecstatic. She is very happy. She is saying, "My God, my Rama is going to become a Yuvraj." Like all kings or queens used to do, she removes her necklace and she gives. Anybody who bears the good news is always given that as a gift. You have come bearing a good news, you please take this. Manthara takes it and throws it to the ground, and she says, "Oh foolish lady, you don't know what you are doing. What is it that you are happy about?" Kaikeyi is saying, "What is it that there is not to be happy about? My Rama is getting coronated. What could be more important? What could be such a more happy occasion than this?" So he said, "It is not your Rama. First of all, you need to understand, it is Kaushalya's Rama. For you is a stepson." Well, no, but that is not the way we brought up our kids. Kaikeyi says, "All of the kids are grown up as brothers and we are all part of the same family. Why do you talk so bitterly, Manthara?" Manthara says, "You are a foolish lady. You have no idea what is going to befall on you. Rama will become the king in some years and he will make you and Bharata as his servants. Worst, he could even end up killing you." So she's saying, "What are you talking? Why will Rama even do that? Right? You seem to be out of your mind. Why will Rama even do that?" So she then cites this as an example. So what Dasharatha does as a mistake, or when he tries to do this when Bharata is not around, turns it against him. So Kaikeyi to Manthara says, "If at all Rama was to be made Yuvraj, what is the hurry? Why aren't they waiting for Bharata to come back? What is the great hurry, tearing hurry in getting the coronation done when Bharata is not around?" It is because Dasharatha is afraid that he might ask for that, Bharata or you might ask for the kingdom as per his promise. Kaikeyi says, "But I am not interested in that promise. I am happy as far as Rama gets done." But now there is a small doubt that starts coming into her mind. What is the hurry? What is the hurry? Why is it Dasharatha in such a tearing hurry to get it done when Bharata is not around? So then that starts breaking her. And Manthara keeps on ranting. She says, "You don't understand. This is a problem. I need to teach you everything. From childhood I have taught you so many things, but still you don't understand how politics work. You will become a dasi to Kaushalya and Bharata will become a das, that is a servant, a slave to Rama. You will be ill-treated, you will be banished from the country. Keeps on ranting, and that starts taking effect on Kaikeyi. Now Kaikeyi is completely broken. I'll just take a quick break here to just cover the moral behind this. So Ramayana is full of morals, right? And it's incumbent, it's important that I also cover the moral behind the story. A weak insider and a wicked outsider can cause havoc to a family. It can cause a havoc so great that Dasharatha's family got broken into pieces. Dasharatha lost his life. Why? Because there was a weak insider and a wicked outsider. Right? Marriage has, why those days marriage used, why in our culture even today we call marriage as a marriage between two families and not two individuals, is because when you take a girl or when you get a boy into your house as a son-in-law or a daughter-in-law, you need to look into the background of the family. You need to understand what parents are there, what is the lineage, what are the grandparents, what are the issues that have happened in the family. Are there any health issues that are there? Are there any family issues? Do the brothers fight? How united the brothers are? When you go to see a girl, you see a large family and you see brothers, sisters, cousins, everybody sitting. You feel it's a large, good family. It's a family that you can have girl picked up from, or you can become a son-in-law. Now, why are these important parts? Why are these important in getting marriage done? Is because it's not just unison of two people, because it's unison of two families. There's a problem in love marriage. Dasharatha and Kaikeyi had a love marriage. Dasharatha forgot to check the antecedents of Kaikeyi. Okay? Kaikeyi's mother was wicked. She was actually banished by the king. The king was good, but he was banished by the. She was banished by the king himself. Right? He should have known that. So when you get into arranged marriage, you have this benefit of actually looking into the family. There are few lucky people. I consider myself as a lucky guy. I got into a love marriage, but at the same time, as good the wife is, the family is even better. But that happens only by fortune. That only happens by luck, right? Not every time a person lands up into such a lucky situation, because when you get into love marriage, I am not against love marriage. The reason I am touching upon this point is because one needs to be mindful of the fact that family needs to be given priority when marriage is done. This is with regards to the weak insider. The wicked outsider. My father used to always say, have as many friends as you can, but never ever allow them to cross into your home. What it basically means is not to allow them to come into the house or whatever. It only basically meant that ensure that you never share anything that is in your family to an outsider, and never ever allow an outsider to talk something about your internal affairs. Now these both things are very important. Friends are important, there is simply no doubt about it. In Yaksha Prashna in Mahabharata, one of the questions that Yaksha asks to Yudhishthira, he says, who is the happiest person? Yudhishthira tells, that person who has a friend is the happiest person. Having friend is very important, because having friends of your own age is something that will always keep you young. There will be nothing like midlife crisis, there is nothing like old, becoming old, because you have a group of college and school friends, okay, we are about 45, 48 age, but when we talk to each other, we call ourselves as boys and girls, okay, we don't call as men and women, okay, because with that group we are young, right, we are mentally at that age. Friends help you remain young, right, friends help you remain happy, very important, but you should never allow them to become a part of something that is so sacred to you that they start commenting on it. You should have good friends. Good friends will help you join the family. A wicked friend will always ensure that it breaks the family. So choose your friends rightly. Manthara was a wicked person. Kaikeyi was a weak person. A wicked outsider had a tremendous effect on a weak person which destroyed the family completely. And that is the reason I thought I'll spend some time on that. So Manthara is now fine, okay? She is almost kind of saying, you are a complete buddhu, you are a stupid idiot lady, you don't even know what you are doing. You are going to lose and you do not have time at all, okay? You have just one night time to really recoup or salvage the position. You have no time at all, you can't wait for Bharata to come. You have to do something now, the moment is now. Kaikeyi is completely broken. Kaikeyi is now saying, I don't know what I am to do. You seem to be far more intelligent. You seem to know the ways of politics far better than me, Manthara. Please help me. Now she is not only weak, she has also opened up all her cards. Now Manthara says, now this is what I am going to tell you. You have to listen carefully. So there are two things you have to do. One is you have to ask a boon. And you have to be extremely adamant in asking that boon. You have to be ensure that you should not budge at all from what you are asking for. You have to be extremely cruel and ask for those boon. So she says, what boon do I ask? So she says, if you remember, Dasharatha had fought a war on behalf of Indira against a king, and he was about to lose, and you had also participated in that particular war, and even as he was getting hit by the arrows, you had saved not only the war, but you had also saved Dasharatha from that blow, and you got him to safety. At that point of time, Dasharatha offered you 2 boons, and you said, no, I don't want to take those boons, we'll look at it later. So today is the time when you have to ask those 2 boons. The first boon you have to ask is that Bharata has to be the king and not Rama. So Kaikeyi is saying, very good, so our job is done, we don't even need the second boon. So Manthara says, no, you are again stupid. They are saying it is not, doesn't stop there, you have to ask the second boon also. And what is the second boon? Rama has to go to forest and live like a Vanavasi. Vanavasi means, Van means forest, Vasi means inhabitant. So he has to live like a person who is inhabitant of in forest, without army, without any comforts of being in a palace. And he has to do that for 14 long years. He should not enter any city, he should not experience any luxury of being a king or a prince or from a royal family. So these are the 2 boons she says you have to ask. And the Dasharatha will try his best to charm you out of it. You have to remain steadfast and ask for these 2 boons. Manthara goes, she's done her job and she's gone. There is another version, and it is an opportune time for me to take this. Manthara is the villain as per Valmiki Ramayana, which is a Moola Ramayana. Saints have taken a different view sometimes. So Kamba Ramayana, he approaches this story a little differently. There's a story in Kamba Ramayana where Rama comes to Manthara the moment Dasharatha says that you have to be coronated. In Kamba Ramayana, Rama knows that he is the avatar of Vishnu. In Valmiki, he doesn't know. He's covered himself with a screen that he doesn't know. In Kamba Ramayana, Rama knows, and there are times when he shows that he's come here for a purpose. See, before walking into Kaushalya's room, he actually walks into Manthara's room and he says, Manthara, the job of your birth has now come and you have to play a role. You have to go and poison the ears of Kaikeyi. So Manthara says, for me to having done this such a terrible deed, Rama, you have to bless me with something. He says, I'll bless you with moksha. Don't worry, but this job has to be done, because if Ravana has to be killed, I have to live like a penance, I have to live like a Vanavasi for 14 years, because Ravana is incredible, is a worthy opponent. I cannot just go and fight a war with him. I have to live like a Vanavasi in penance, in meditation for 14 long years. Only then I will have the capability to take and wage a war with Ravana. So your job is to ensure that you enable me to do that. So through Kaikeyi you will be able to do that. Now that is what Rama says to Manthara. This is a more human, this is a more compassionate angle to the story. I just covered it to just to tone down the ill effects of Manthara. Otherwise, we might end up just bashing her up if we find her. So Manthara does her job and goes. Kaikeyi, what she does is she goes into what was called as Kopagraha. We can't imagine all those luxuries, okay? We live in what, houses of 2, 3, 4, 5 bedrooms, okay? All of it is occupied with people. Those were royal people, they had room for living, they had room for eating, and they had even room to get angry, okay? So they had a room where one can go and stay, and then the person will know that the other person is angry. In my view, there should be one such room in everybody's house, at least every married person's house. It becomes that much easier for the husband to know that the wife is angry. Otherwise, in today's world, it is so difficult to know that your wife is angry. You go and ask, is there some problem? When she is happy, she will say, no, there is no problem. When she is angry, she will give the same answer. There is no problem. But the skill of a husband is to find the difference between the tone difference between the 2 answers and understand that the wife is angry. You miss that, then you had it. Right? So there at least was a room. Dasharatha had the luxury. That his wife, if they are angry, they will get into the room. Dasharatha said, say, okay, she is angry, now I have to go and ensure that she is pacified. You can just imagine our plight. Okay, that is jokes apart. So, what Kaikeyi does is, Kaikeyi goes into this room, she opens her hair, she removes her bindi, she removes the sindoor from her forehead, she drops all her ornaments, okay, and she lies down on the floor, puts off the light Evening time, night time, she puts off the light and sleeps on the floor. Each of this act is considered as Ashubh, Amangal. I am going to touch on certain controversial topics, you please kindly bear with me. This is what our Shastra says, I am not saying anything different from it, but might go against a common practice that we see today. Opening of hair, not good. Being without bindi, not good. Being without bangles, earrings, not good. So these are not good signs, okay? So this lady is now lying on the floor with all the lights off. Lights are not supposed to go off unless you are going to bed. That's again a ritual that you do in the evening. Okay, it should always be enough illuminated. So Dasharatha has finished off all his work for the day, and he then comes. He comes and then Kaikeyi happens to be his favorite wife, right? The most loving wife. He used to like all his wife, but then there is this sweet spot. So he likes Kaikeyi the most. So he straight walks into Kaikeyi's room and he comes in. Kaikeyi, where are you? So when Kaikeyi is not to be found anywhere. So he keeps searching in all the room and she is not to be found. So the servant is standing by the side. He asks the servant, where is Kaikeyi? So he says, she's gone to the sulking room. She's sulking there. So they're okay. I don't know why she's sulking. She must be unhappy because I didn't tell the news. Because the news is something that Rama is going to get coronated. He's not yet broken to anybody. It all happened in quite a hurry, right? So he feels she's upset because I have not broken the news or she has not come to know the news. And she might have got to know the news from outside. So he comes into the room and he says, Kaikeyi, I'm so sorry, you must have come to know the news. Rama is getting coronated tomorrow. So don't be angry. Let us enjoy the moment. Let us enjoy the moment so that we are able to welcome Rama into the new phase of his life. And he comes and he kind of cajoles her. And she is not even speaking to him. And he says, what happened? Why are you so angry? I told you I'm sorry. She's still not speaking. And then says, has there anything, have I done anything wrong other than this? Is there anybody else who's spoken to you badly? Tell me, I will immediately have him punished. Please tell me what happened to you. You being like this is really disturbing for me. So she's still not speaking. She's not uttering a single word. And it is getting on to Dasharatha. Dasharatha is getting impatient. He's saying, what is it that is troubling his beloved wife? He doesn't know. And he's saying, Kaikeyi, please tell me, I will ensure that the problem is resolved. I promise you that I will take care of the problem and ensure that your reason for being upset will be taken care of. She then gets up. She's saying, do you promise that? So he says, yes, I promise you. Why do you even doubt about my promise? I have always done whatever you like. Why is it that you are suddenly so doubtful? So she says, I have something to ask. So no, ask. You can ask anything that you want. So no, this is with regards to the boon that you had given me, the two boons. Dasharatha is lost in his memory. So he said, which two boons? So she reminds. So Dasharatha says, yes, of course. I remember that. Ask whatever you want. You want to ask now, you want to ask later. You can ask any time. Today, tomorrow is a very busy, difficult day and a busy day. Why don't you ask later? She said, no, I want it today and I want it right now. So she said, what is it that you want? So he said, go and sit. You will not be able to listen to it when you are standing. So Dasharatha sits down in the sofa nearby. He says, tell me, what is it that you want? She said, first, Rama is not to be the king. My son Bharata has to be the king. So Dasharatha is completely zapped. He's saying, what are you talking of? Rama is the eldest son and the most suitable person for becoming the king, right? There is nobody else who is as suited. Across the globe, there is nobody else as suited. Why do you even doubt that? Rama is the best suited person for the job. Well, I am not listening to anything. This is my first boon. The first one that I want is that Rama should not be the king, Bharata should be the king. They said, okay, what is the second one? The second one is that Rama should become a Vanavasi and should stay in forest for 14 long years. The moment he hears this, he is not able to believe. He thinks Kaikeyi is joking. So he gets up and says, Kaikeyi, why are you joking? This is not a time to joke. We have an important thing upcoming for tomorrow. Don't get into a mood which spoils it. So it's a very bad joke if you are joking. So she's saying, I'm not joking, this is what I want. And this is exactly what you will be doing now. You will be calling Rama and ensuring that you tell him that you will call him Bharat, get him back from Kaikeyi Desh and ensuring that the coronation happens as soon as possible. Dasharatha, now he understands that she is really serious. Listening to this, he just collapses. He is not able to believe that his own beloved wife can come back so cruelly to him. He gets up after a while, collecting himself, he says, Kaikeyi, my dear wife, why do you even say this? Why are you so apprehensive of Rama becoming a king? Rama is a worthy suitor for that. And Bharata will only be happy serving him. Why are you so bothered about it? So I am not interested in talking to you at all. I don't want any reasoning. I don't want to hear any reasoning from you or any logic. I don't want to give you any logic either. I just want these two boons to be granted, and that's it. There is nothing else to be done. Today there is nothing else to be done. You do this, we'll talk all about all logic and everything later on. I don't want to get into any reasoning. Samadana, Bheda, Danda, he tries all four. He tries to cajole her, he tries to compare, he tries to offer. He says, I will give the entire kingdom. I will win another kingdom for him if you want. He says, goes to the extent of saying, okay, you want Bharata to be the king, let Bharata be the king. But don't send Rama to the forest, that's okay. I don't know, why is it Rama has to go to the forest? He tries to punish her. He's saying, I'm going to punish you, I'm going to banish you out of the kingdom if you continue with this. He tries everything, but nothing ever works because Manthara has filled her ears completely. She has told her, he will try every rule in the book to ensure that to get you out of this particular two boons, but you are not supposed to listen to it at all. You have to be steadfast. So Kaikeyi is listening more to Manthara than to Dasharatha. He says, I don't want to listen to anything. These are the two boons and I want it, period. Only Bharata becoming king is not going to happen. Rama is very powerful. He can have his own army and then come and kill my son. I don't want to do all that. So you have to send Rama to forest and make Bharata as the king. These are the two boons that I am asking for. Dasharatha is completely heartbroken. He falls with a thud on the floor and is completely unconscious. He is actually begging at her feet. He is saying, please don't do this. But Kaikeyi is in simply no mood to listen to any of it. Then he remembers, you are your mother's daughter. Your mother was equally cruel. And alas, I married a cruel lady. He feels at that point of time. But of no use. He swooned into an unconscious state. And Kaikeyi is waiting for daybreak to happen. As the daybreak happens, Rama and Sita get up. They get on with their morning work. They get on with their taking bath and stuff like that. Kaikeyi calls for Sumantra. Sumantra is their minister. He is more like a minister who takes care of a lot of administrative work. So Kaikeyi calls Sumantra and she says, you have to go and call Rama now, right now. So he says, no, Rama is getting prepared for the coronation. So she says, Sumantra, you just go and call Rama, he has to come here now. Tell him Kaikeyi is calling him. So he goes, talks to Rama and asks Rama to come. Rama, being the obedient son, leaves whatever he's doing halfway and comes. And he comes, the moment he comes, he finds his father on the floor. And Kaikeyi in a vesh which is just not befitting a queen, with open hair and no ornaments and really ugly looking avatar that she's standing in with all the eyes red. So he comes and he just helps his father to sit up and he says, Father, what happened? Why are you unconscious? Why are you lying on the floor? So Kaikeyi says, the cause is you. That's how she starts. Rama, the cause is you. Rama starts crying. He says, what is the cause that I have given my father such misery? Tell me now, I will ensure that it is resolved immediately. Why is it that I am a cause of his misery? Well, look, only you can resolve, and this is what you have to do. This is what Kaikeyi says. Kaikeyi says, this coronation is going to stop now. Rama, there are two boons that I have asked your father. Your father is in no state to talk, so don't even look at him. You talk to me. I will tell you what is to be done. So he says, Mother, you tell me what is it to be done to relieve my father of the misery. So she says, you ensure that Bharata will be the king and you have to go to 14 years to the forest. For the next 14 years, you will be in forest and live like a Vanavasi. Rama, it's the same Rama who with as poise and as grace that he accepted the news that tomorrow is my coronation, and as instantly he tells his mother, absolutely done now, nothing to worry at all. Is this what is troubling you and my father? Why should it trouble? You have to just order me. There is no reason to even ask for a boon, mother. You just have to tell me that you have to go to forest and I would have anyway gone to forest. For my Bharata, I am ready to do anything. For my father, for my mother, you I am ready to do anything. Why should it even trouble you, father, is what he asks. That is Rama, right? Obedience at his best. So what happens is, Rama has picked up Dasharatha and keeps him on the sofa and he says, Father, you don't worry. I will ensure that I go to the forest immediately. I will proceed to the forest immediately. He turns to his mother, Kaikeyi, and tells, ensure that you send messengers immediately so that Bharata can be fetched and he is brought back. Hearing these words, Kaikeyi is very happy. Kaikeyi thought it would probably be difficult. She misjudged Rama. Rama is one of the most obedient sons. The moment it is told, he doesn't even need the bahana or a cause of a boon. And Kaikeyi just told that Bharata has to be the king and you have to go to forest, he would have anyway done it. That is what Rama is. So Rama walks off. Lakshmana, like a shadow, right? Lakshmana is a brother who never ever let Rama out of his eyesight. Eye line, the line of sight in wireless, there is a principle called as line of sight. The wireless modems and the gadgets, only when they are in line of sight, it catches the best signal. So Rama and Lakshmana were like that. Lakshmana is to always keep Rama in his line of sight. Wherever Rama is to go, Lakshmana is to be as a shadow. Lakshmana is hearing to all this that has happened inside and is extremely furious. Red in face, bloodshot eyes. Lakshmana is Sheshanag's avatar, right? Anger is always on his nose. It's just ready to take a form and come and kill somebody. That is what he is always ready for. As soon as Rama walks, he finds an underage Lakshmana. He puts his hand on his arm and he says, Lakshmana, this is not a time to react. You just come with me. He says, no brother, you just give me one order by your eyes. Just give me one sanket. I will have the sword come out and kill my mother. That is what he says. I will kill Kaikeyi right away. Because that is not what is to be done. You have to just come with me. And they walk off. They go to Kaushalya's apartment. They go to Kaushalya's apartment and Kaushalya is already awake. She is all dressing herself up for the big day for her son. He goes, he keeps his hand on her shoulder and says, Mother, it is Bharata who is going to become the king and I am going to the forest for 14 years. Kaushalya, the moment she listens to it, she is not able to believe what she is listening. Rama explains the entire thing that happened on the previous night, as Kaikeyi had explained. Kaushalya again swoons into being unconscious. She wakes up. Rama helps her wake up. And she says, this is not the time to lose your consciousness. This is not the time to become weak. You have to take care of father. Father is really miserable and you have to take care of your father. He's saying, Kaushalya says, I don't want to live with such a husband who's given such a useless promise to his wife. I want to come with you. Take me with you to the forest. He says, no, the duty of a wife is to be with her husband. Ensure that you are there. Father is grief-stricken. It is your duty as the first wife to take care of her. That is your dharma. You cannot run away from it. You ensure that you take care of him and take care of him well so that after 14 years when I am back, I can see my father. He consoles her and he comes out. Kaushalya's room happens to be adjacent to Sita's room. The windows are just 10 feet away. As Rama is talking to Kaushalya, now why am I saying all this? Because it's there in Valmiki Ramayana. It's not something I have seen. Okay. So Rama is talking to Kaushalya. Sita has overheard the entire discussion. Now he walks out of his room and gets into his own apartment. And the moment he sees Sita, Sita says, you don't have to tell me anything, Swami. I have heard everything that you have spoken to your mother. He says, this is what I am going to do. I am going to live by whatever dharma that I have been. There is a dharma that I am supposed to follow. I will follow that dharma, Swami. You don't worry at all. Whenever there was a question of dharma, whenever there was something that was expected out of Sita which was to adhere to dharma, he used to always address Sita not as Sita, he used to always address Sita as Janaki. Why? To remind her that she is Janaka's daughter. Right? Her training is that of the Janaka. Janaka was considered to be one of the best in dharmas. So he says, Janaki, I knew you are Janaka's daughter and you will befit the training that he has given you. Yes, you have to live as per dharma. And he goes on to say that you have to stay back here and take care of father-in-law and the mother-in-law. So he is to take care of Dasharatha and Kaushalya. So Sita is saying, how come you are using two different yardsticks of dharma? Seems like you learned dharma at the wrong place, she says. Because for me, my father has taught a different dharma, and the dharma that my father has taught is that I am supposed to be with my husband. Didn't you tell the same thing to mother now? This is what she asks. Okay, because just some time back, Kaushalya was told that she is supposed to be with her husband, right? So Rama realizes that he is in a position where he can't argue. Anyway, it is difficult to argue with wives. So Rama says, yes, I understand, but it's going to be a very tough life there, Sita. There will be no worldly pleasures, there will be no royal pleasures there. We'll have to sleep down, we don't know whether we'll even get to sleep. Night times we have to be awake because there could be animals that can attack us. There are Rakshasas around, so we have to be very careful. It's going to be a very difficult 14 years. Are you really ready to come? And this is not what I promised Janaka. Sita says, I am your Sahadharmini. I will be there where you are there. I will find happiness where you find happiness. I will live in the lifestyle that you offer me as a lifestyle, be it the princely life or be it the life of a forest. I will do what is expected out of me and I will be as happy as I am here because you will always be with me. That's the kind of love that Sri Rama and Sita had. So Sita says, there is no doubt and there is no question in my mind at all. I have been trained to do all of this. I have been trained to sleep on hay. I have been trained to sleep in a forest. I have been trained in warfare. My father has taught me everything. So you don't worry. I will live with you, and 14 years I cannot be separated from you at all. So don't even expect me to be here. I am going to be with you. As they walk out of the room, Lakshmana is already ready. Rama asks, where are you going? He said, there is no other place other than Rama for me. Lakshmana is a very unique character. Okay, and the brotherly love, the brotherly affection that Lakshmana showed for his elder brother is simply unparalleled in any Puranas. It is simply unparalleled in any scriptures that has ever been read. Lakshmana is a unique brother. Words fail when you come to narrate Lakshmana as a brother. Without a split second, he's already decided that wherever Rama is, I am there. Right? It's a bodyguard. He said, I am also coming with you. So he said, have you even asked your mother, Sumitra? So there is no need to ask, but yes, I have to tell her. So he comes, he goes and does namaskar to Sumitra, who is Lakshmana's mother. He just goes down and he says, Mother, I am going ahead with Rama. I hope you are okay with it. Sumitra says, it is wrong that you have to ask Lakshmana. It is your duty. You have made me proud by saying that, by offering yourself, because that is the way I have brought you up. You are here, your birth is here only to serve Rama. And Shatrughna's birth is here only to serve his brother Bharata. That is the way I have brought you both up, and you are going to live up to that. And I am glad that you are going to do this. So he blesses him wholeheartedly. Sumitra is anyway a wise philosophical person who Sumitra, as per Valmiki also, is somebody who knew what Rama Avatar is. Okay, she was a saintly person. Lakshmana walks, gets into his room. He's also married, right? He's going to go alone. He has to at least take permission from his wife as well. So Urmila says, what is my role? What am I supposed to do? So Lakshmana says, you have to be here. Because for the next 14 years, so this is not there in Valmiki Ramayana, it is there in a few other Ramayanas. He says, for the next 14 years, I am not going to sleep. Okay? I am not going to have enough food. I am going to give my sleep to you. So Urmila for 14 years actually sleeping. She slept more than what Kumbhakarna slept probably. So for the next 14 years, Urmila says, you are leaving me behind, but I will ensure that I don't suffer the pangs of separation. So the next 14 years, Urmila is actually sleeping because Lakshmana has given his sleep to Urmila, and then they walk. Rama, Lakshmana, Sita are at the doorstep where Kaikeyi and Dasharatha are there. Kaikeyi very gleefully comes with 3 trays. She has already come to know that these two are also accompanying Rama. She is all the more happy because Lakshmana staying back would have anyway been a problem for Bharata, is what she thinks. So Bharata's role is something that really disturbs. Dasharatha doubted him. Kaikeyi also didn't understand Bharata and his true character. Forget that. In Bharat Milap, when Bharata is coming with a full gang, it comes to meet Rama at Chitrakoot. Lakshmana on the treetop is seeing and he says, Bharata is coming to wage a war. That is what he says. Okay, so even Lakshmana doubts Bharata. When Bharata as a character is beyond doubt, unfortunately all 3 of them doubt him. Which is very unfortunate. So anyway, Kaikeyi thinks, but it's good riddance that even Lakshmana is not here. She comes with 3 trays. Now these 3 trays has got dress made of tree bark. There's a bark which with the outer covering of a tree, that is shaved off, and you make a garb, you make a dress out of that. Now that is how Vanvasis stay. That is how Vanvasis live, and they are given those 3 robes. Rama takes it, and as gracefully as he was wearing any ornaments, he puts that dress on. Sita takes it and innocently says, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. How do I wear this? And this is there in Kamba Ramayana. She looks out sweetly and she says, I don't know what is to be done with this. How do I wear this? So Rama apparently helps Sita in wearing that and ties a knot on her shoulder and just, this is how you wear it. Get used to it because this is what we are going to wear for the next 14 years. Kaikeyi is so cruel. Kaikeyi says you have to also leave all your ornaments here. So all the ornaments that a queen or a princess would have, all of that Sita keeps it away. So the question will come, when Ravana picks Sita and is flying, she drops her earrings and he drops all her ornaments. So where did she get those ornaments? She gets it later. We will come to that part of the story a couple of weeks down the line. So all the Ayodhya ornaments and whatever Stridhan that Janaka has given, all of that is being kept away. And they walk off like a yogi and yogini. But they are as resplendent, they are as much looking like a stars and sun, right? Even in that simple dress, they are looking like royal people. As they are just about to leave, they do namaskar to their father. They do namaskar to Kaikeyi also. Lakshmana refuses to do. Rama forces him to do to Kaikeyi also. Just as about he is about to walk, Dasharatha holds him back and he says, Rama, I want you to meet me for the last time before you go. Please hug me. And he embraces him tightly and he says, I don't know whether I will live for 14 long years in your separation. At least hug me well so that I can live with that memory. And he says, let me look at you as much as I want. Just give me a moment. And he looks at Rama and he again swoons into unconscious state. Let us leave the story today here. Rama, Lakshmana, Sita have begun their journey into the 14 years of their vanavas, their forest life. I actually wanted to cover the story right up till Dasharatha's death, but that's okay. As I told, there's no need to hurry. We can take it up easily. There's no train or a plane that we have to catch. We can enjoy the story slowly. Now starts the 14 years of vanavas that Rama and Sita and Lakshmana take together. There are quite a few good, beautiful incidents. There are quite a few good, ugly incidents also that happen. And we'll enjoy all of that as we go along. And with this journey, the beginning of this journey, we will end today's story. Was I clear, audible? Could you hear every part of it? Great, Punanji. Thanks, Arjun. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Any questions that you all have, feel free to ask. Otherwise, we can get on with Hanuman Chalisa. We'll start Hanuman Chalisa. Great. Shri Guru Charana Saroj Raja Nijamana Mukura Sudhari Varanau Raghuvara Vimala Jasu Jodaya Kupalachari Deenatanu Janike Sumiro Pavan Kumar Bala Buddhi Vidya Dehu Mohe Harau Klesha Vikar Jai Hanuman Gyan Gun Sagar Jai Kapi Shati Huloka Ujagar Ramaduta Tulita Baladhama Anjani Putra Pavana Sutanama वीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार सुमति के संगी कंचन वरण विराज सुबेसा कानन कुंडल कुंचित केसा विराजे कांधे मूंज जनेऊ साजे शंकर सुवन केसरी नंदन तेज प्रताप महाजगबंदन काज करिबेको आतुर प्रभु चरित्र सुनिबेको रसिया मम लखन सीता मन बसिया सूक्ष्म रूप धरि सिय दिखावा विकट रूप धरि लंक जरावा भीम रूप धरि असुर सहारे रामचंद्र के काज सवारे लाए सजीवन लखन जियाए श्री रघुवीर हर्षि उर लाए रघुपति कीन्ही बहुत बढ़ाई तुम मम प्रिय भरत ही सम भाई सहस बदन तुम रोयस गावे सनकादिक ब्रह्मादि मुनीसा नारद सारद सहित अहिसा पाल जहाँ ते कवि कोविद कहि सके कहाँ ते तुम उपकार सुग्रीव ही कीन्हा राम मिलाए राजपद दीना तुमरो मंत्र विभीषण माना लंकेश्वर भय सब जग जान जुग सहस्र योजन पर भानु लील्यो ताहि मधुर फल जानु प्रभु मुद्रिका मेलि मुख माहि जल दिलांग गए अचरज नाही दुर्गम काज जगत के जेते सुगम अनुग्रह तुम्हारे देते राम दुआरे तुम रखवारे होत न आज्ञा बिनु पैसारे सब सुख लहे तुम्हारी सरना तुम रक्षक काहू को डरना आपन तेज सम्हारो आपै तीनों लोक हांकते कापै भूत पिशाच निकट नहीं आवे महावीर जब नाम सुनावे नासे रोग हरे सब पीड़ा जपत निरंतर हनुमत वीरा संकट ते हनुमान छुड़ावे मन क्रम वचन ध्यान जो लावे
राम
तपस्वी राजा तिनके काज सकल तुम साजा। और मनोरथ जो कोई लावे सो ही अमित जीवन फल पावे। चारों जुग परताप तुम्हारा है प्रसिद्ध जगत उजियारा।
साधु संत के
तुम रखवारे असुर निकंदन राम दुलारे। अष्ट सिद्धि नव निधि के दाता असवर दीन जानकी माता। राम रसायन तुमरे पासा सदा रहो रघुपति के भजन राम को पावे। जन्म जन्म के दुख बिसरावे। अंत काल रघुबर पुर जाई जहाँ जन्म हरि भक्त कहाई। और देवता चित्तन धरहि हनुमत से सर्व सुख करहि।
संकट कटे मिटे
ते सब पीड़ा जो सुमिरहि हनुमत बल बीरा। जय 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 हनुमान गोसाई कृपा करहु गुरुदेव की नाई। ये शत बार पाठ करे कोई छूटहि बंदी महासुख होई। जो यह पढ़े हनुमान चालीसा होए सिद्धि साकी गौरीसा। तुलसीदास सदा हरि चेरा कीजे नाथ हृदय मह डेरा। पवन तनय संकट हरन मंगल मूर्ति रूप। राम लखन सीता सहित हृदय बसहु सुर भूप। सियावर रामचंद्र की
जय।
बोलो हनुमान की
जय।